You know what's eerie? The beginning of this chapter felt like something that came straight from today's current event, as I am recording on November 10, 2016. It's frightening on how close to home this feels like. I guess we can't escape from reality. There will be people that will want a focus on the heroes for the reason of a plot moving forward, or how they're the characters who we follow along the journey. However, one would like to see more of his world building, as well as a different outlook from a different perspective view. Case in point, we have a villain who is led to everyday life of chaos and goes around to narrate the life with villains roaming the street after the end of All Might's run. It may not be the one you want to read, but I found this chapter to be pretty interesting, especially when it comes to creating its world. The sequences of this man, who would be later revealed as Twice, were profound to show how the world is slowly turning more and more corrupted after the loss of All Might in duty. It was a narrative of witnessing the city slowly becomes a territory of where villains can roam and have little to no fear of being stopped by the icon. Essentially, the whole chapter was all about the villain, and it was really good. It's eerie yet not far from reality in the way how the mangaka utilized the media being the center of attention, presented the way to tell the people on how they think and perhaps what it's trying to tell you to think. The use of social media was a way to demonstrate on how people in that timeline can share the opinion for better or worse and come to the conclusion that can spread with others. That said, Endeavor was the prime target. People are fixated on first impression as well as historical events of a person. It's not to say that Endeavor is now good and we should like him. However, people can be skeptical when he is now the center of attention. Fame can lead a person to be highly criticized, which is why people will be afraid or disappointed. It makes it worse when the last icon, All Might, was so beloved that everyone else after him would look weak in comparison. Whether Endeavor does feel pressure or not, his status is being tainted as wrongfully placed as the icon. As for the villains, we get to see more insight of their lives. They're there to fit into their job as villains, from robbing a bank to destroying others. It's a lifestyle that they have chosen upon themselves, no different from the ordinary citizens. The storytelling wasn't trying to persuade that these villains are good guys that are wrongfully accused. Rather, it's the life of how they operate, and it's just the way it is. They even have a broker to keep in tabs with villains. It's pretty captivating to see how the other side of the world, not to mention also presented on how the crime rate is increasing now that they have more advantage with All Might out. The main highlight was Twice, who I found it to be a really interesting character. He narrates as we follow him how the city turns upside down as the day progresses. As the element was really good, it's himself that got me compelled by his character. It was sequenced really well to show when he wakes up to the point he starts doing his work as a villain. It shows on how he has to settle his life as the mind inside of him continues to talk over to the point he has no choice but to wear a mask. The flow of narrative was increasingly interesting because it's not just how the villains like Dabi do, rather how Twice has to live. It becomes really interesting once we learn on how his quirk works. It's called doubling, and in many series, it's usually just a doppelganger. However, the interesting take by the mangaka made me appreciate the writing even more because instead of a simple cloning, it acts more of a splitting personalities to the point that it is not a clone, rather a new person. In other words, it's more approach to fusing others rather than deactivating them. Hence why he has a different mind talking to him. The backstory was dark, as one of his clones even stabbed him because of how they are. It's scary, yet appropriate to create a villain. The way on how it was handled was nicely done due to the effectiveness of Twice and his daily life. It has a good sense of realism and of how the morning begins normally to the moment where things starts to happen, good or bad. Watching Twice dealing with his life was striking because you slowly watch him becoming a full-fledged villain as he is trying to maintain his sanity. I don't think the idea is to hope for him to become good, rather it's to show how some can become a villain by any reason. The visual was pretty good, including the last double page. The chapter ends with All Might and All for One about to have the talk, which was a good way to pull a cliffhanger after witnessing the villains interplay to this moment to see how the new generation of heroes can fix a problem that is left behind, even though the current generation remains yet struggling. All in all, this does feel like a side story chapter more than anything, yet it was pretty compelling to see more of his world in the darker side, as well as how the narrative was handled well to have me invested within his event. I'm giving this chapter an 8. The next chapter is going to be interesting to see what kind of discussion we will see from All Might and All for One after that intense battle. It's like witnessing two veterans about to share an opinion of the newer generation. I know I'm still waiting to see where are we heading with Toga having Deku's blood sample, but I wouldn't mind to see more insight of others. It could only increase my interest. My thoughts are told, don't let yours on hold. Leave a comment below. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this and want more of this, subscribe to my channel and my world will be yours to stay. Until next time, take care.